seen nobody like this. You ain't seen nobody like this. You hear my sound all over town singing. Whoa. You ain't seen nobody like this. You ain't seen nobody like this. You hear my sound all over town singing. Whoa. I think there's something in the water. If you wanna take a sip, but be careful what you wish for. The faint of heart can't handle it. Everybody wants a piece of someone else's prize, but it ain't free, it don't come cheap. Only the strongest will survive. You ain't seen nobody like this.
Good evening and welcome to a double playoff edition of the SA Soccer Roundtable. Royce is unfortunately caught up in work, so he may or may not be joining us. But Rafa was able to make the show. But before we get started, you got to pop the beer. Cheers, guys and ladies, for that here. So to get started here, Rafa, how are you?
Pretty good. Just enjoying my time here in town before I hit the road again on Sunday. I head up north, heading up to Lubbock on Sunday. Should be fun.
Oh, you should rub it in that Coach Traylor is not going from, at least at this time,
he's not
going from UTSA up to Texas Tech. And, it was an interesting bye week for UTSA football and the move to the American Conference. The talk of, hey, is Coach Traylor going to be staying here or moving on? And I would like to sign a 10-year deal. But Coach Traylor and the boys, the UTSA men's football team, have a huge match on ESPN2 in El Paso this Saturday night. But good thing it's not Friday night, because Friday night I think you and I and Royce and a whole bunch of other people will be hopefully packing Toyota Field as a blackout for that here. But before we get started, did want to give a huge shout out to Coach Derek Pittman of the UTSA soccer women's soccer team. They unfortunately lost today in overtime to the first seed Old Dominion University. Kind of an unlucky goal where it was off of a set piece. The goalie unfortunately just didn't get it. I think 9 out of 10 times she saves it. Unfortunately, this time she didn't. And Old Dominion advances on a goal in overtime. To be fair, the night before, UTSA got past North Texas on an own goal. So fluky goals for UTSA, both in a win and in a loss. But for Coach Pittman, this is the first year that UTSA's made the postseason. It's been one of their most successful years. Hopefully, with going to the American Athletic Conference, the AAC, they'll continue to invest into the program and to the facilities, because I do think, especially maybe if they can sneak some of the talent from Austin, from DFW, as well as, the international play, they can help put UTSA soccer on the map. Any thoughts on UTSA soccer, Rafa?
Real success. I guess you can call it. This is a successful season for them. Mm-hmm. I think in the conference, I don't think they expected them to make this far and a good showing. To buy out an overtime to the top seed, and they had their chances also to win the game too. So it's a good season for UTSA girls. Hopefully they'll build the women, and hopefully they build it. Use that as a building block for next season, and then also when they make that transition to the American Conference, hopefully that'll start attracting some more recruits to come play for UTSA soccer for Coach Pittman, and I see good things in the near future for them, and I think they're going to end up becoming a contender, once they make that conference switch, to the American.
Yeah, I think it'll be kind of interesting to see how how moving to the AAC is gonna affect the women's program and then UTSA overall. Let's be honest. It's gonna, and you're already starting to see a lot more money coming into the program. Looking at the preseason predictions, UTSA was expected to finish 6th out in the West, so they would not have made the playoffs. They ended up finishing 4th. On that, and then of course North Texas was predicted to finish 2nd, who they defeated in the first round. So, and Old Dominion preseason wise was scheduled or was predicted to be 4th as well. So I can tell you the Conference USA championship has been interesting to watch on ESPN Plus. I was able to watch the first 3 matches of it here. So moving on to San Antonio FC. We'll start with the lineup here just to kind of get your thoughts on it. I don't want to curse us, but I'm happy to see a Patino back and Coach Marcina having his options here. Your thoughts on the lineup? I know we kind of discussed last week, Patino or Dylan, and then what that adjustment means. But your thoughts on what we talked about and what we saw, at least on the initial lineup.
Well, this is the lineup I guess we've been expecting all season long. This is probably one of our strongest lineups. I know there's other combinations maybe I can kind of flip flop around and still be just as good, but having Patino back is a world of difference, especially when he plays against Colorado. So he gives them fits. I can tell you that. But we're glad to have him back, and like I said, being at full strength now is gonna. I think the teams are worried about us, or what we can do, and I guess we'll talk more about it in this past game, but how this lineup did.
Yeah, so let's start with the first goal here, and this is courtesy of ESPN Plus and on YouTube video here. But this is the first goal here in the build-up here. The thing that sticks out to me, Epps' move right there, and then his little cheeky, to Nathan, and then Nathan crossed it in and ended up being an own goal. But if it wasn't an own goal, Patino would have tapped it in. So, on that here. So,
and if you notice that we do a lot of damage when we play everything outside from the outside and bring it back in. We can see that. You can see the play with Harry Epps' nice little chip there. And then Nathan
flick pass into Nathan. And
Nathan getting that. And he got that little cross in. So yeah, Patino was there. He was just there waiting, chopping at the bit to.
Yeah, he was like, "Give it to me, give it to me."
So, but his buddy that gave him the red card scored it for him. So,
so that's the first goal here. That was about the 4-minute mark that came in. Rest of the first half, I think San Antonio FC had some chances. Nothing really kind of stood out. I think Colorado Springs took it out, but once San Antonio got that first goal, I think that kind of set the trend. And I think this goes for all game. I didn't really feel like, even though Colorado Springs had the majority of the possessions, it was a 60-40 split, which is which we've all discussed that San Antonio is very happy with. It didn't feel to me that the Switchbacks really had any opportunities, to take advantage in that first half.
I think the key this time around, I think from the last few games that we played them, was the lineup we have in the back three. I think we got faster, we got more physical. Adding Tanner Ford basically, shut down Haji Berry. He was really non-existent that first half. He wasn't really I think maybe just got one shot off and it was off target. They just couldn't do anything, and even though they had, I guess you mentioned they had the possession, we just dominated the first half. We had we had the better chances. We just pressured them a lot. They just couldn't get into sync or some type of like a rhythm how they normally do to get when they start scoring those goals. Like I said, that's kudos to the back three for shutting him down and not letting him even really touch the ball. So I think that's the big difference from this game from the last other games, because we had other lineups that I think we got taken advantage of because of our lack of speed. So I think making those two big I guess you can say acquisitions have paid off. And I think this is the reason why they did that, because I think they know going in that we're going to probably go up against fast forwards, and we need to shut them down. And this is proof of this.
And Robert, you are correct. Haji we gave him the golden boot. So Haji Berry wasn't really a factor in the first half, and we'll discuss the second half here either. But he ended up not getting that goal to put him on top, so he's still tied with the 25 goals, but still an outstanding season for him. Let's look at the second goal here. I believe this is right after the start of halftime here.
Strong effect on this match, but you had talked about it.
And this is all about the pressure here.
No. So you can see we're just swarming him, not giving them any opportunities, and the little cheeky play right here. The little three ball.
SAFC there is the second goal. Huge.
And technically, that would have been the second assist of Nathan. Unfortunately, with the own goal, there's not an assist on an own goal. But this Nathan did get the assist. So it is kind of interesting how he how he can his creativity, especially with Patino up top and the dimension that he brings, that Nathan is still the driver of this team.
Yeah, like I said, when Patino's on there, I mean, he was getting double teamed a lot, and I think now having him on outside gives him more room to, especially with the ball, to create space and passing just like that, and then also even help create his own shot too. So I guess Patino really is like a big factor, because he garners a lot of attention. You cannot fall asleep on him, and you can't really play one-on-one with him. You have to kind of play a little zone or double team, because he would put it in the net.
Royce, good evening.
Sup.
We will replay this second goal here for you here.
Oh, the Gallegos and Nathan goal. I haven't memorized, but go ahead.
There we go, I think here.
Latter half of the second half, the ball pressure, where Colorado Springs was able to get the ball down two without receiving any pressure.
Your thoughts on the goal there, Royce?
So my first thought was exactly what I thought when we were all sitting in 114 is, dear God, Nathan and Gallegos made the exact same run again. I turned and I looked at you and I said, that's exactly what I said was, my God, they made the same run again. What are we doing? And then Gallegos scored, and I was like, oh, okay, that's fine.
It works out.
And so they initially made the same run, and the big difference is that Nathan stayed a little wider with the ball, and he allowed Gallegos to kind of leak over a little bit, so enough room was established. And then Nathan held on to the ball until that's the left-sided center back for Colorado committed. And once he committed, then he sent the ball to Gallegos, and Gallegos took the space where that center back left. And that's how we chipped over the keeper and scored, which, I mean, it was a really well-worked goal. It's just in the beginning, it looked like the issue that we've always seen where two guys try to take up the exact same bit of space that they see. And one defender takes that chance away. And this time they went around him. So
Robert says Patino is a more dynamic. Dylan is more a system striker, but both have skills.
I disagree. They both have. I'm gonna definitely disagree. If you remember the El Paso goal in stoppage time that Dylan scored, where it was him against 6 El Paso defenders. Dylan can also be very dynamic, but Dylan is much more keen to use his size to his advantage. Patino is a lot more similar to Nathan, slightly taller than Nathan, but very similar game where they will dribble, and it's more about the hard work and the hard running. Dylan, it's about the physical size, the physicality. I know I'm saying that twice, but you know
Dylan's
what I
very
mean.
methodic when he
And
plays.
yes, he's very methodic. That's why Dylan always gets caught with offside traps, is because he doesn't have the speed. So whenever he is kind of in that, not as a false 9, as a physical 9, as kind of a striker that's trying to beat a line, he definitely needs a little bit of a head start, which is why he gets called offside a lot. But that's part of his game, because eventually somebody's going to mess up their defensive assignment, and he's not going to be offside, and he is going to score goals, and that's what he does.
Yeah, I don't necessarily agree with the comment either with from Robert on the difference. I think you hit the head. You hit it right. It's the speed. It's the speed factor. That's the difference. I think Dylan probably uses his body. I think perception is he uses his body a little bit more, but I do think Patino is just as physical. Just he's got that quickness that puts it on a different level than what Dylan has.
Correct.
So we're going to talk about a scary moment here, unfortunately here, and this is Matt's injury.
Yeah.
Oh, here I did have it on. Because when it first happened, I know at least for me, I was like, did it hit his head or what happened? But Rafa and I kind of went through and looked at the film here a couple of times here. So Rafa, when the replay pops up here, what do you anticipate the injury was actually?
Yeah, initially I thought the ball had a hit off his head and kind of snapped it back, and I thought he got a concussion. But once you look at the replay on the landing, if you look at his right foot, he kind of lands on his hip. That leg didn't really, when it plants right there, it landed real long. Then also the hit on the ground there with the hip really. That's when we started seeing when they started working on him. That's when you knew it was on the head. You see right there, and he took a hard hit right there, as far as from the fall. I'm a little surprised he's not wearing those spandex keeper shorts with the cushions on there. You might want to have to recommend those.
I think not to say anything out of bounds, but I think Matt has plenty of natural padding for landing. I think I think what happened there, and yeah, Rafa has it right. I think it's a hip issue, but where I think it happened is on the landing. All of his force came on that right leg. None of it was able to get onto his left because he tried to dive more to his right to push his left hand up to push the ball over. And when he did that, he sent himself out of alignment. So he landed on that leg. And if that leg kind of comes down, there's two things that can cushion your fall. That is your knee. You don't want to buckle your knee. So instead his hip kind of buckled. And then he landed on the hip, landed on his pelvis, hitting the ground. So it's definitely, the pelvis is technically part of the back, Robert, but it's definitely, it looked like a hip/pelvis issue.
Well, especially the way they were working, the trainer was working on, they were moving around his hip area. So yeah, they were doing normal stretches that you do with the kind of where you you lay on your back and you have your legs straight and you bring it over yourself to kind of torque your knee. And what that does is that's going to stretch out your butt muscle, your glute. And that's what they were trying to do, is to see where the pain started in that flexibility test. And whenever the trainer started doing that,
Matt kind of had a grimace on his face, like, yeah, I feel that more than I should. So they took him off as a precaution. I didn't. I saw we got emailed the interviews. I didn't see who was interviewed. I think it was
There wasn't
PC
anything
and
on Matt.
Coach Marcina, but
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't see if Cardone was on there or if they released any information on that.
We'll find out probably tomorrow. I would guess.
Yeah, for the press release. Yeah,
if there is any injuries. Since Robert mentioned Haji Berry, have to show this clip here. He was this close from getting the record-breaking goal. Ricardo's in goal here. It was a questionable foul right outside the box.
Very, very questionable foul. A big surprise.
We can go over that here. We got it right here.
Yeah, it was definitely if I remember correctly, this is where the offensive player, the guy with the ball, initiated contact and still got the foul called for him. And a yellow came because of that. Really stupid play by the Colorado player, but here you go.
You can see how the forward leans in.
Yep.
That should
And
have the other way.
It's shoulder to shoulder, and the forward comes in more with the more aggressive line. So that should have definitely probably gone the other way, or just been the ref should have seen it as shoulder to shoulder.
No call.
In the middle, the
But
leading goal
yeah, exactly. Just shoulder to shoulder, no call. Just what do they call it? A hockey play, just a soccer play.
Play on you.
But that's not how it was. Instead, Haji Berry decided to
Crossbar challenge.
Yeah, he definitely won. Definitely won the crossbar challenge for sure.
A hell of a shot, though. Just
It was. And I remember we're all sitting there like thinking the dude's going to take it with his left foot, go in the top left-hand corner. And that's where we thought, because in the beginning, that's where, wasn't it Maloney was standing out there? We're like, the guy's going to go right over Maloney's head. And then it may have been Maloney or it was PC went and realigned everybody and put Jasser, the tallest guy, and then just kind of had to, it looked like the old AT&T commercials with the tallest, the shortest. Yeah.
And then for the first time that I've ever seen, Maloney went to the ground.
Yeah.
Which is the first time that I've seen that.
Took the Neymar spot down there. Yeah. So. Yep, but I mean, can you say they defended well? I guess you can say they defended well in the fact that he didn't score, and the only place, if you're the defensive team, you say the only place he had was the post, and we covered everything else. But at the same time, that was a heck of a shot from Barry, just close but no cigar. Yeah. But that's how soccer go. If I'm gonna modify a quote from World Series champion Ron Washington.
All right, and this is the third goal here.
Oh, this is where I think San Antonio can be very dangerous.
I didn't think it went in from where we said. I was like,
yeah, no, it didn't look like it went in. They started celebrating. The first thing I looked at was the ref, and the ref pointed at the center circle, and that's kind of how I knew it went in. But yeah, it was questionable. And then you see the replay from the side, you're like, oh yeah, that's
clearly
pretty obvious. So yeah, pretty good. But I think that's where, and obviously shout out to Courtney. First of all, shout out to Courtney for just an amazing comeback. Right? His fourth goal, an amazing comeback, an amazing performance this season. If for some just baffling reason the Rapids don't pick up his contract in November, he needs to be a priority to sign. Zero doubt about that. And shout out to your mom, Courtney. Hopefully, well, she'll be in our prayers. She has been in our prayers, and definitely keep fighting. But at the same rate, that's where I think finishing my point. I really think.
Yes, you're on the other side, Robert.
Yeah. I thought you retired from bubble soccer there, Robert. He messaged me after the game. He's like, dude, I'm so tired. I'm like, what the heck are you tired from? It was an exciting game. He's like, I played bubble soccer at halftime. I was like, oh, okay. All right. Makes sense. No, but that can make us really dangerous in the playoffs, is that aerial threat. that we can provide. Especially, Axel may be coming on late if we need to find a winner.
I don't think Axel makes the 18.
Hold on. Okay. That's an interesting point. The point that I was going to go with is, if you remember the tying goal that just kind of came out of nowhere. Attaboy, Robert. We all get old, dude. I know. The cold weather. Yeah, my knee felt like it was jacked up. But if you remember the El Paso goal that tied it 3-3 in El Paso, that pass from Taintor was supposed to go to Axel, and Ford ended up finishing. That's the aerial threat that I'm talking about. Is that late in games, that seems like it's been pretty money to get Courtney Ford up there. So
Tainer as well.
Tainer
on the other side is just
sure, and
is just as good in my opinion.
And also, I think another off-season priority needs to be re-signing. Signing Mitch Taintor. Technically, he's on loan. The dude has bled twice for this team in the last few weeks. He stay on my team anytime if you're going to be a warrior like that. And everybody's like, "Oh yeah, he's coming out. He has a gash." Nope. Throw some super glue on. Hockey player.
I thought
Hockey
it was more
mentality,
of a concussion type situation.
Yeah, that's what I was concerned
At
about.
least initially.
That I was surprised that nobody really. I think they checked him, but then they realized that he ran from where he was bleeding, and I think the first indication that he wasn't concussed was when he asked for a picture of the wound, and somebody with their phone took a picture of it and showed it to him.
One of the take a picture.
Yeah. How bad is it? Oh, it's not that bad. Okay, throw some super glue, stop the bleeding.
Have you seen it on Instagram or anything as of yet?
I have not. No, the only one that I saw was obviously the red card incident. I guess the gash that resulted from the red card incident in Sacramento. But
so, any final thoughts on the Switchbacks? It was a 3-0 win. I don't think anybody anticipates Matt to be out for this game, but of course we don't know.
Yeah. We'll find out, I guess. Huh?
I'll say stick him inside a nice ice bath.
Yeah. And shout out to Carlos.
Yes, Mercado.
Really commanded. He was not shy at all. Came out.
There is a difference between goalkeepers.
It's an audible difference. Yes, very much so. Very much so an audible difference. But it was great to see him. And he took command, and he looked very comfortable back there.
And you don't have to know Spanish to know when he's not happy.
No. Nope. Soccer is an international language, and you understand the emotion from it for sure. And congrats to Carlos, man. Felicidades. It's awesome. You hate that it was in that circumstance, but you love how successful it was and just how comfortable and how good he looked back there. It just looked natural, looked seamless.
I'm already on record saying that next year he's our starting goalkeeper.
We'll see.
I mean, one thing with him, you gotta remember he started the two friendly games against Liga MX level talent, which is a lot better than what Colorado has. And then he didn't have the defense that that we have now. Yeah. So I think going into something would happen with Matt and in the playoffs or something. I think Carlos will step up to the plate and I think we'll be just fine there. I don't think he'll be nervous. I think he can take command and do what he needs to do as far as saving the balls and keeping the clean sheet.
Yep.
So moving on to the playoffs, we have a bracket. Over on the East, you got the Tampa Bay Rowdies that are going to face off against Tulsa. You got probably the match, probably the match of the playoffs, Birmingham Legion hosting the Riverhounds.
Yeah, that's going to be a fun one.
And both teams are mirror images of each other, so that will be very interesting. In the bottom half of the bracket, you got two teams that nobody expected to be there, Charlotte Independence and Memphis 901. For that here, I don't think anybody anticipated.
Go on the fighting Kyle Murphys for sure.
And then you got Louisville City and hosting Miami FC, the Fighting Billy
The
Forbes.
Fighting Billy Forbes is. Let's go fighting. You know what? I want to see a second round of the Fighting Billy Forbes is against the Fighting Kyle Murphys is. That'd be great.
I think it'll be the other way, but yeah, that would be
I wouldn't doubt it, but the other way would be great too.
I think Miami can knock off Louisville. I think that if
They have the talent to do it. The issue is that they're not playing in Miami, and it's going to be flipping cold in Louisville. So we'll see how they adapt to that.
I'm not calling for the upset, but Tulsa is one of those heckle and hide teams. If they're on, they can beat anybody. Tampa's very good at home, though. That's why I probably won't call it. But if Tulsa happens to be, on their A game,
Tulsa can Leicester City the crap out of this for sure. They can, they can just bog down the game or I guess Burnley is the more modern example to where they could just bog the game down and find a late winner and steal it for sure.
So out west, you've got El Paso, which we kind of knew, facing the Oakland Roots, and great job to the Roots, especially with the start that they had with the replacing the coach who is on our staff, by the way. Right before the season kicked off, there was some rumors they had the Rayo Casey field issues, and on and on and on. Chewy's there, and actually Chewy's the one that got the goal to get them into the playoffs. So congratulations, Chewy Enriquez.
You love to see it, man.
For the third time this season, OC will be playing Switchbacks. OC traveled to Switchbacks preseason to open up Widener Field. Regular season beat them there. So this time, Switchbacks travel to OC. So that'll be interesting to see how the Haji Berries and Colorado Springs, how they do against OC for it here. The bottom half of the brackets, our bracket, which is very interesting. We'll start the other one. RGV got in. They, they earned their way in, and they get to travel to Phoenix to play Rising. And as a San Antonio FC fan, as much as it's painful, you got to kind of hope that RGV wins, because if RGV does, that means we would host, assuming that we beat the Loyal, we would host the South Texas Derby at Toyota Field in a playoff. It'll be the 5th time we play them.
That would be fun.
But that would be the highest stakes ever. Well, so far ever that RGV and San Antonio FC would have. And, of course, our match that kicks off the USL Championship playoff bracket, which is sponsored by Twin Spire Sportsbook out of does the what's the race in Louisville? The Kentucky Derby.
Kentucky Derby.
So they sponsor that. So, and the final will be on ESPN, the big channel. So hopefully we can make it. It would be fun, whether it's here or abroad or away. I would
abroad.
Out of Texas is abroad. Don't you know
that? I guess.
So San Diego. We'll ask your initial thoughts on San Diego there, Royce.
A lot of familiar faces on that roster for sure. They play similar formation as SAFC, and they really try to depend on Herzog and some of their midfielders to produce offense for them. Jack Blake as well, former Real Monarch. They really tried to produce a lot of so it's kind of similar, the same but different, but still the same. They try to generate a lot of offense through their midfield. We like to defend in our midfield, so it'll be interesting to see that dichotomy work itself out. Dare I say they play a lot like Colorado in that fact that they try to generate a lot of their offense from the midfield. And if you noticed, I noticed John from USL Stats on Twitter kind of broke down a couple plays from SAFC and Colorado Springs, showing that Abu was really mirroring anywhere that Haji Berry went, and Abu shut down Haji Berry just about single-handedly. It'll be interesting to see if we do the same dang thing. And I think that is what Marcina has tried to produce, try to implement to eventually stop El Paso. And Lucho, or if Lucho's not on the field, then Luna. So
That's El Paso.
So we'll see. That's what I mean. That's what that play was intended for. He implemented a couple times. It didn't work against El Paso, but it's been perfected through the season. And whenever we played Colorado, we've tried to do the same thing. But Abu pretty much put Haji Berry in his pocket. The only real chance that Haji Berry got in the last game was that free kick that he hit off the crossbar. This next match, we'll see what happens. I mean, you can have PC and Abu in the midfield and just shut things down there. I will say that Loyal looked rough in that last match that they played. They did not look convincing against Sacramento. Sacramento didn't look good either, but they still managed to score a goal on I believe it was a corner
Cameron
kick.
Awasa.
That,
Cameron Awasa's last match.
That Sacramento legend Cameron
with Oakland too.
Yeah,
I think they've been struggling these last few games, and
they have the reason
that's why
that
they finished third and not second, because they were in the driver's seat for second.
Right.
OC's got hot down the stretch. San Diego's kind of been on and off all season. If just being honest,
started very poor, caught up, really got hot, and then kind of in poor form again. I think they're going into the playoffs winless in 4, if I'm not mistaken, is a stat I heard when I was watching Sacramento against San Diego. So
I can tell you. I know their big issue is their back line's hurt. Like Yarrow, he's with them, he's out. They do have Colin Montgomery on loan, who's been in. But I was on Fairweather Pod last night. They suffer the same thing that we do. Is they'll create shots. Now they create shots different than we do. They create a lot more shots from outside the box, and that's something that SAFC is going to have to watch out for. Is this team will shoot outside of the 18, and they're good shots. They're well placed. Blake's got 2 or 3 goal of the week nominees for that. Guido, I think it was Guido. Also had several shots, and then their forward up front, Williams is the guy to look. Yeah, they're on a 4-game
winless because they drew the last match.
Yeah, so their last 5 is they beat Sacramento, drew New Mexico United 1-1, and that was a late goal by New Mexico. Lost to Orange County 1-0. Lost a thriller to the Roots 3-4, and then drew 1-1 to Sacramento, giving up a late goal. So to me, when I was looking at the stats, they play, and I don't know if it's just more of a Pacific thing, they play more finesse. They'll hold the ball. They like the 60%. We like the 40%. So I think that matches up. And to me, I think the key is going to come down to, I don't think their back line is help. Well, number one, it's not their first choice back line unless Yarrow comes back. And even if he does come back, I don't know if they have the height, to counter, SAFC's front line. But
go with me here. Okay, I'm going to bring out some points, and you tell me if I'm wrong or not. Josh Yarrow in the back line, unfortunately hurt, so you had to go get Callum Montgomery on loan. Tries to generate a lot of offense through the midfield, but suffers defensively because of it. Tries to possess most of the game, although that possession isn't really purposeful, and tries to generate offense more than they try to defend and win a game. Does that not sound like Darren Powell's San Antonio FC? Like every point is dead on. That's crazy. I thought about that on on my commute home because I left work super late. That's why I was on late. But I thought about that. I was like, man, that's so weird. Just there's a lot of mirrors there, which is strange. So
Did Donovan go to the Powell School of Coaching?
I really think, I mean, Darren Powell's a great coach, and I
He's a
really
great
think
coach.
that that's just that next level of coaching. Landon Donovan has been tied to a lot of pretty top jobs.
RSL lately.
Yeah. And well deserved. I thought Darren Powell deserved a little bit better, but I mean, at the same rate, imitation is the imitation and flattery. There's that saying. There you go.
But the reason why I say is I was looking at the cards. You'll see, like San Antonio ended up first place in cards, of course, with 94, 500 fouls conceded, where Loyals only conceded 379, 69 cards. So you can see there's a huge difference just in physicality. We've got 7 Reds, they've got 2. So, but to me, the distribution, like all season, we've had about 7,400 successful passes. They've had 13,300. But yet, when you look at the attack, goals, 50 shots on target, 153 for San Antonio, an accuracy of about 42.3, a conversion rate of about almost 14%. San Diego Loyal, 51 goals, so only 1 goal more. 5 shots more, their accuracy is 50.5, and their accuracy conversion rate's about 16.3. So even though, and we've talked about it all year, San Antonio doesn't need the possession to be able to get shots on target. And when I was on Fairweather Pod last night, I was like, we'll let you have the ball, but if your defense is hurt, I can tell you the midfield and the attackers are going to be pressing. And if you're not on your A game, that's how San Antonio gets you, is they get you to cough up a mistake. The issue for both teams and is, you can see highlights, from both teams where players will have open attempts at the goal. And, I watched the Sacramento game. There was 3 times in the first half where San Diego just had to put, just a clean touch and it's on frame. And for whatever reason, it's, not as bad as PC clearing the stadium, but, it went over the bar and along those lines. So to me, I think, and we can say this for every game for San Antonio FC, if they're putting shots on target, 9 out of 10 times they're going to win the game.
Yeah, a very important thing for SAFC for sure is scoring first. They play very different scoring first than the other way around, or even leaving it late. So early goal, early pressure, that's going to be pretty important in this match for sure.
The other huge factor in doing some research on this here is the Loyal is not very good on the road. And some of that may have been early season struggles. But even at the end of the year,
I was going to say they didn't look good against Sacramento in the last match, and that was away. So.
Yeah, their points per game away out of 16 is 1.19.
Oh, Bubba.
So they've got 5 wins, 4 draws, 7 losses, 23 goals for, 23 goals against. Just in comparison, we're at 1.56. 7 wins, 4 draws, 5 losses, 23 and 22 plus 1. So and I think ours get kind of our goal difference. If you throw away the New Mexico matches, that goal difference looks a lot prettier, than what it ended up being. But of course, you play that. But to me, how they play on the road, with that 1.19 for average points, we're at 1.69, and at home, and this is why them not getting the home field. At home, they're at 1.81 points per game. So they play a lot different on the road than at home. And like I said here, I don't know if that's due to coaching, not making adjustments, not playing
It
different.
It happens with every team. I mean, every sport, baseball, hockey. That's a normal thing for you to be more successful at home than on the road.
But that's a bigger gap than average, though. That's why I toss it out there.
I mean, fair, but I'm just saying it's not out of the ordinary. But for it to be that stark of a difference, yeah, that's interesting for sure.
So, but I do think the key, as you mentioned, is who scores first. And I said last night on Fairweather Pod is if San Antonio FC can get that goal in the first half, it's going to be a completely different game. If it stays like it did last year, 0-0 till late,
and a late handball, that's not called.
Pressure is going to build on San Antonio FC, and I think this is a better team, but you got to exercise those demons.
I think what they also need to do if San Diego is hurt on the back line, our forwards and midfield needs to press them. They need to smother what they did, I guess, especially with Colorado. They need
the Nathan, Jose, and Epps, which apparently Epps is one of the most successful dribblers in the league. Just blows my damn mind. But that dude is ridiculously good. They need to dribble at that back line a lot. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think we have the edge on that. And then now having Patino back too, I think we can really cause problems there. And that gives us an opportunity to get that first goal right away. And then another factor going in is, we played in a lot tougher division than San Diego. I think we're more battle tested because, like I said, those fights
hurt us last year may help us this year.
Yeah. And like I said, that's because looking at the bracket, like it's below, that could affect also Phoenix too, because RGV's battle tested too. I think all our teams are all battle tested. I think we basically beat up on each other, but I think it made us a lot better.
Yep.
And I think this will pay off, and hopefully, like I said, we can knock these guys off on Friday and just kind of have our way, because I have a feeling that if we can do that, we can do what we did on this past Saturday.
Right.
Yeah. You got to get that first one.
Yep.
And then, whether it's Phoenix or RGV, neither one's going to be easy. Don't look past. Don't look past. We play San Diego. Don't look past. We play San Diego. I'm not playing.
Don't look past. Don't look past.
So, but we'll discuss that next week. We'll discuss whatever the result is next week here. But final thoughts, either on the season, upcoming playoff game, anything else that you have? Any final thoughts there, Rafa?
As final thoughts, like I said, I'm looking forward for Friday's game. Hopefully we can black it out, pack it up. I think our team really deserves it. Have a little more fan base out there to cheer them on and get that playoff victory that was stolen from us last year. So I think we're overdue one, and hopefully, like I said, what happens beyond that, we'll take it from there. But just go out there, like I said, bring the family out and have fun. I think they gave them free T-shirts. They were the first 2,500 fans. It's even better. I think it's also dollar beer night.
Dollar beer and
dollar sodas.
Yep.
Which, I mean, if you're a season ticket holder, you should
bring your jacket, because there's another factor. It is going to be chilly, and maybe that might affect the Loyal a little bit as far as their play, because it's
supposed to be in the 50s.
That little California weather, that nice 80-degree weather. Well, they're not going to have that here. So break out the hoodies and for Friday's game.
I'm 100% bringing my Scorpions blanket. So get some of that. Excuse my dog for being a jerk and yawning. But try to get some of that Scorpions 2014 Ala Marcina in the playoffs mojo going. So definitely be bringing that out.
Robert, you cannot say his name. I apologize. Next time you bring that up, I'm blocking you.
unfortunate.
Your final thoughts there, Royce? I know you were late to the game, late to the show to start because you just got off work here, but we touched base on UTSA and the great season that they had. A little bit of the off season because Rafa's going to be going up to Lubbock, and I told him to say hi to the Texas Tech fans and tell him to leave our coach alone. He's signed a new 10-year deal, which I would like to do as well if anybody wants to offer.
Birds up.
For that here, but your final thoughts?
My final thought on Texas Tech is ha ha ha. My final thought on the Lady Roadrunners in their successful soccer season. I mean, they were ranked pretty low, and for them to win a conference playoff match, that's a pretty big deal. My dog, what is she doing? She's now
El Gato. That's all.
Sorry. Yeah, I mean, they ended up playing the number 1 seed Old Dominion, and no big surprise that Old Dominion advanced. But UTSA, pretty successful season, was very impressive. At the same rate, Jeff Traylor, 10-year contract. He said in multiple interviews that he is a legacy builder. That's why he stayed so long in Gilmer, and he's setting that up at UTSA. And man, I'm excited. I really want to go next Saturday, but I'm not sure if I'm going to be available. We'll see what happens.
Well, you might be available as well.
Do what?
You might have other things going on.
That's exactly what I mean. That's why I'm not sure if I'm going to be available. That's exactly the road I was going down. At the same time, let's go to the game. Blackout the stadium. Blackout Toyota. # Blackout Toyota Field. I can try to start that hashtag. And also # Fight Together. I love that. That's good because the whole team has been fighting together this whole season. Fought together after the COVID break in those 7 games in 21 days, and they're fighting together in the playoffs. You love to see it. It's great. We're in really good form. We look really good. Hopefully Matt's all right. And my final thought for the game is bring it on. I'm so excited. My big point that I'm going to bring up, I told you so. Ala Marcina, 2 seasons at the helm SAFC, 2 seasons in the playoffs. First coach to do that. And he's my coach. And I was excited when he got hired. I'm excited that he's still our coach. Very excited. Could not be happier with that hire. And yeah, dude, let's go # 2014 Mojo. Let's go.
# gotta deliver.
Let's go.
They got to get it done this game.
Let's go.
Got to deliver at least one.
Let's go. I'm excited. Let's go.
So my final thoughts going to be very similar to Royce's and Rafa's. Show up, be loud. It's a playoff game. Bring your friends. I think there's still tickets available for it here. Let's have our first quote unquote sellout for this year. Where it's 8,200 in there. And then Saturday night, 9:15, ESPN2. The Roadrunners will be playing UTEP. It's always a fun game. If you want to get up and drive that following morning, you can still do it. But Roadrunners, number 16 in the country, I believe. Last I checked here, outside of the BCS.
So here's the big difference. Here's the ass whip of the week. Is that USA Today in the AP poll, which only matter until last week, they had them as 16. The one that really matters, which is the college football playoff poll, does not have them ranked. They're not in the top 20.
25th. I think they were just out, I think is what they were saying.
Well, I mean,
they have
still
USTA.
The United States Tennis Association, UTSA, did not even make it. And at the same rate, Mississippi State is somehow number 17, even though they lost to Memphis and they have 3 losses on the season. And UTSA beat Memphis. So
in Memphis.
In Memphis. That's correct. Stupid, dumb, awful, bad. But you know what? Whatever. Don't eat the cheese. That's been the motto all year long. Win out. Win the games. Do what you can control. And I feel bad for UTEP because I think UTSA is going to take out all of this frustration on that team. And good Lord, it could be bad. It could be really bad in El Paso for El Paso.
So do want to thank everybody for tuning in. I'll get this out either tonight or tomorrow morning for the podcast version. Thank you everybody for the support. Robert, always enjoy the conversation for that here. AJ, thanks for making a comment here very early for that here. And working on seeing about setting up a special show with Max, who's over in Germany, to see about getting him and his views
Max
from abroad.
Yep.
So hopefully we can put that together. And as always, thank you for your service, Max. But what's life without goals? We're trying to be better and get this out at a reasonable time. So we're under an hour. So we'll see you.
Fight together.